You might be looking into investing and have some spare money lying around, but not quite sure where to actually put it. There's lots of options to choose from, looking at ETFs, individual stocks, or even cryptocurrencies. But which of these will ultimately get you the best return with the least risk possible? Depending on where you put your money, you might see massive profits or just ride an emotional roller coaster as you see the value of your investment constantly dropping. Throughout the course of this video, I'll be giving you my complete guide on all three of these different investment options, weighing up their pros and cons so that you can make an informed decision on which one is the best for you. If you find the video helpful, make sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm so that more people can watch this video. And just as a disclaimer, this is not licensed financial information. It's purely for entertainment purposes only, so always make sure to do your own research and don't just listen to a random person on the internet. First option that you have when it comes to investing is exchange traded funds. Now these are just a collection of different companies put into one investment that has a particular goal. So what does that actually look like? For example, you might have an ETF that will track a specific sector in the market like healthcare or technology, but most notably you will get an ETF that will track the overall performance of a country's stock market. So in New Zealand there's the NZ Top 50, in Australia the ASX 200, and then in America the S&P 500. By far the most notable is the S&P 500, and it's just a collection of the top 500 biggest publicly traded companies in America. Think of brands like Facebook, Google, and Amazon all clumped together in one investment. This is by far one of the best places that you can put your money as a new investor, because your investment is spread out amongst some of the largest businesses in the world that have stood the test of time, and this will lead to a nice consistent return of 10% per year. Now of course there are points in time where the S&P 500 can do virtually nothing, just going up or down by a few percentage points, and other years it can far exceed that average return of 10%, but that 10% return is taken as an average over say a 20 to 30 year period, so it's all about long-term gain and consistently investing. So one of the best strategies with the S&P 500 is to look at it as a long-term investment, more like something that you would use for your retirement. You're not going to get rich overnight, but what you will get is a constant gain on your money, and it will grow and compound over time, and this can lead to a staggering return. Taking a look at a compound interest calculator that will give you an idea of just how powerful this consistent 10% return can be. Looking at someone who's able to consistently put in $100 a week, meaning just $400 a month, at an average return of 10%, looking at this over a 33-year period can give you a return that exceeds $1 million. But again, it's a very slow journey. Think about if you started investing at the age of 20, $100 a week. By the age of 53, you'd have $1 million. But this again is a very slow process which can deter a lot of people. So the thing that makes the S&P 500 so great is because you can just dollar cost average your money, meaning that you put a consistent amount in week after week, year after year, and just keep adding no matter what the market is doing. If you don't want to spend a lot of time researching businesses and looking at the perfect time to buy or sell a business, then the S&P 500 is for you. While it may be slow, it's very consistent, and as you saw earlier, it can give you a huge return. But again, it's a very slow process, so it can deter a lot of people. If you're someone that wants a faster return and doesn't want to wait decades for their money to see a massive gain, then investing into individual companies might be the option for you. This is the second investment vehicle that you can look at, and essentially it's when you put your money into the individual shares of a particular business. Now shares are offered because it allows a company to generate revenue for itself from investors giving their money to the business with the belief that the business will grow in value, and as the business increases in value, so will the value of those shares, and the percentage increase of the share price will be reflected in the percentage gain that the investor will make. So if you buy shares of a company at $100 and they climb all the way up to $1,000, then you will have made a 10x return. Your money will have gone up 10 times over. So when it comes to individual businesses, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, and a lot of research is required to actually make an informed decision on whether or not an investment will be good for you. These include things like the management, who is the CEO, the people running the company that are making the calls on the direction that business takes, what is the actual share price of that particular company, is it overvalued, is it undervalued, is it just the right price, and looking at other competitors in that particular industry. If you're looking at technology or social media companies, are you looking at healthcare related businesses, who are the other competitors in that industry, and how well is that industry doing. So if you want a bit of a checklist on how to actually select whether or not a company is a worthwhile investment, I'll leave a video link down below in the description that will give you a complete step-by-step guide of all the different criteria you need to keep in mind when investing into an individual company. There's quite a few to think about, and I don't want to draw out the length of this video, so check them out down below in the description box. But essentially, when it comes to individual businesses, you can look at large established companies. These are often called blue chip companies, giants such as Microsoft, Apple, or Amazon, that have an enormous market cap and a huge value, but they don't grow very quickly. Or you can look at growth stocks such as Tesla, which can see rapid increases in price but are deemed to be more unsafe because of the volatility of the company. Tesla has gone up over 2,000% in the past few years. Depending on which company that you invest into, you can see a massive gain on your investment, and it can be difficult to tell on which stocks will actually rise so rapidly. Often looking at established YouTube channels that have a lot of credentials and take their time with looking into an investment can be a great place to educate yourself on how a company is doing, but ultimately it's the best if you look at financial reports, interviews that the CEO or management gives about where the company is going, things like that, so that you can educate yourself on the topic and know where that business is going. Another thing to keep in mind with individual companies is that you are at the mercy of that one business. If it's doing poorly and not growing very quickly, or might be losing value, then that will be reflected in your investment. Because your money is riding on one business, this theoretically makes it a riskier time for you. However, you have to balance that risk versus reward, because with individual stocks, as you saw with Tesla, you can see a massive gain. Not something that will happen with a conventional ETF like the S&P 500, so just weighing up that risk versus reward and the time that you actually have to put in to research a business will dictate whether or not you go with ETFs or individual stocks. The third and final option you have with investing is cryptocurrency. Now, this is by far the riskiest but also the most rewarding investment that you can get. Cryptocurrencies are extremely volatile and can go through massive price fluctuations, going up and down very quickly, seeing hundreds of percentage increases, but also having the ability to fall just as quickly. Cryptocurrencies are a lot newer and less established than conventional stocks. If you look at the top 10 coins in cryptocurrency that only have maybe a 60 to $80 billion market cap, which sounds huge, but you can look at the top 10 companies in the world and these are valued in the trillions. So it takes a lot less money to move the price of a cryptocurrency, and that's why you can see these much larger price fluctuations. Now, the biggest and most recognizable one is Bitcoin, and this is what most people associate with cryptocurrency. This has a market cap of $1 trillion, so it has a lot more stability than all the other cryptocurrency. Any crypto that's not Bitcoin is considered an altcoin, and the one that's in second place is Ethereum. Now, these two make up the vast majority of the cryptocurrency market, and Bitcoin is essentially the anchor that dictates a lot of the price movements that happen in the cryptocurrency space. If Bitcoin is rising in value, then so will all the other altcoins, and if Bitcoin is falling in value, then this will be reflected in the price of altcoins as well. I personally quite like cryptocurrency as I'm more comfortable with the risks that it poses, but there can be a lot more complexity in terms of the storage and where do you actually buy your coins from. I would say if you want to get into cryptocurrency, sticking with more established ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum can be a great option in the beginning, and as you look further into it, you can start looking at more speculative altcoins that aren't as established. But you do have to be comfortable with these massive price fluctuations and aware that your money can fall in value very rapidly. If you want a more complete and in-depth guide on how to buy cryptocurrency, I'll leave a video linked on screen that will talk over all the different wallets that you can use, the best exchanges, and how to actually research cryptocurrencies before you buy them.